Okay, hey everyone, welcome to the community meeting for the 18th of May or the 19th of May, 2021. Obviously, this is the release. Well, this is not the release retrospective because that's next week. So if you are watching this, please plan to come to that if you're involved in the release at all, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the items we're going to discuss today are the presentation for 1.3, which is out already. Well, I guess I'll call it 1.3.0 or X, I don't know. And then we have, we're discussing what we're going to do with a patch release for 1.3. And then we have to discuss how we're going to organize the release for 1.4, which that'll happen, I guess. And then I've got some questions about community access to the YouTube channel and some other things. And also we've had a submission from some other people to ask about how we're doing some policy stuff, so that's good. Okay, so I guess first off, Josh, if you want to give the update you literally just said, which is something about the presentation.
Yeah, in order to free up time for next Monday's meeting, we decided just to record the presentation of the PowerPoint on 1.3. We've scheduled that tentatively right now for Monday, May 24th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. There's a couple folks on the phone here that I'd like to see if they can make it. I've sent you invites to Andre, Jiaxing, and to James Liu, but I'm not quite sure, Yuan, who might be the right person for the Kubeflow pipelines. So really, I'm just looking to see if those folks who contributed information on the slides can be those speakers in the presentation. Typically, this is just a few minutes to present the slides, and we want to get that done and recorded and then posted.
Cool. That sounds good. Okay. Anyone got any comments on that? No. Yes.
May I? This is Ben. May I confirm the time is 8 a.m. PST?
8 a.m. PST. And if you want to invite, I can send the invite to you. I believe I may have your email. Go on.
Yes, please invite me and maybe James, also James Liu. I can send you his email. I think we'll decide who can present.
Perfect.
Depending on availability. Thank you for organizing.
And Andre, I figured you would do Ketib, and Jiaxing, if you want to do the training operators or however you guys want to do that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Jiaxing, what do you think? Do you have time on Monday at 8 a.m.?
Yeah, let me double check. If not, I think I can summarize all the contents and share with you and the other training list.
Yeah, sure. So Josh, can you please send us an invite? It would be great.
Yeah, you should have it. If you don't,
oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, I think I have it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I have it too. Yeah.
Awesome. So you've got everyone from every piece you need, Josh?
I don't have, I've invited Dan Sun. I do not have a KF serving representative confirmed at this point.
Dan would be great if he was there, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. I'll work on that. I'll work on that over the next week. Animesh, Dan, or someone else.
Yeah, and I can make it from the manifest side as well. Josh, thanks for the invite.
Yes, sir. I've got you and Kimonis and potentially, yeah, Stefano for the for Kale. Yep.
Cool. Okay, so there's one thing I do want to plan for, is that we've been talking about doing a retro for 1.3. I do think we should do it as soon as possible because obviously 1.3 has been out for a wee while now, and we should probably, it's going to be fresher in our minds if we don't keep delaying. I don't know who's available or willing to host a retro. I mean, I'm not super experienced in this regard. Also, I think it's during the American time zone, so I will be asleep. Well, the other time zone. So is anyone, like, I guess the other community meeting host right now is George, not George, Josh.
No, it's actually, well, I mean,
Jeff, sorry, Jeff.
we have it scheduled for Tuesday.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
so it's happening during the community meeting?
Yes.
That's good. So you're comfortable hosting that as a retro, or do you want someone else to help you? Or?
Yeah, I think Giannis has got that covered.
Yeah. I think it will be either me or Josh. Oh, sorry,
Cool.
George, I mean.
Oh, George. Okay, yeah. So that's because I mean George seemed to be willing to do it. If he was there, that would be good. But I haven't received any confirmation that he's going to do it yet. So that would be, we should chase that up. If not, because otherwise there won't be someone to host it. So that's good.
Yeah,
so
we got that covered. Like there's no scenario where we won't have a host.
That's good. So Yanis is tentatively hosting that. That's good. So anyone who wants to come to that, please do. I guess it's going to be a bad time zone for some, but hopefully we can still get the feedback maybe by opening up maybe a discussion on the forum for that as well, you know. I put that in there as well, actually, for other TZ create discussion on Kubeflow discuss. Okay, cool. So now 1.3.1. So whether that's what we call it or not, I don't know. But the discussion, I guess the manifest working group is kind of discussing this. Yanis, if you want to.
Right. So yes, today we discussed it in our community meeting. The main thing that we want to include for 1.3.1 is an updated shared manager and an updated Knative version, which mainly comes from updated KF serving requirements, which we said we will do in the point release now. And this is the main thing that we have for the manifest working group, at least. So I see that we have an action to decide the release manager. So for 1.3.1, I will be driving it as part of 1.3. And as for the release date, right now we're at the stage where we're gathering issues. So once, let's say, one more week passes, let's say, and we have more or less every issue in place, we can make an educated guess. You may want to also put down the issue number there. Let me send it to you. It's
so obviously, so you're speaking as two different people as well. You're saying as the manifest working group, you're trying to get those updates in, and as the release manager, you're managing the release, right?
Right. Yeah, because essentially the release is the release of the manifest. That's why it's so close. Here, I sent in the chat
Do you have
the issue
I've got
number.
that. Yeah. Is that for set manager or both?
No. This is for this is the umbrella issue for 1.3.1.
Oh, okay. 1.3.1 changes issue. That's perfect. Okay, so other than that, okay, that's fine. So there was one other thing I'll comment it in here as well. I'll just remember to do that later. Which is I think we needed to. I think putting a requirements matrix. I think this is almost certainly relevant to the whole community. Is that I think people have been asking for what versions of these external dependencies are supported, like Cert Manager, like Knative. And I think that is something that the whole community needs to decide that we're going to give people, because it's kind of hard otherwise to install Kubeflow. So I'll just link that issue in the chat. But yes, cool. I'll action that. Add requirements metrics. Sure. Okay, cool. Serving. Who's from serving? Have you got any plans to get things into 1.3.1? Maybe. No one here? Oh, yes. Okay, guess not. if someone has a tracking issue they can find for that, that'd be great. Pipelines, I guess Google, or not Google, but the pipelines guys. What is your plan for 1.3.1? Are you going to release things or?
This is Yuan from Pipelines Working Group, and I think we want to make the newly released Kubeflow Pipelines v2 compatible mode available also in Kubeflow 1.3.1.
Do you have a tracking issue for either that or 1.3.1 in general, or?
Yeah, I have a tracking issue for just that, but we don't have a tracking issue for 1.3.1 yet.
Do you think we should? I don't know. It's an idea.
Yeah, I'll think about it. So, and the other big issue is the contribution for adding service. I think it's auth token interface.
I don't know. Whatever you were saying there, that's good. So, I mean, there is some things happening, and I guess I'll put action question mark make tracking issue question mark at. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, the notebooks. Does someone else want to talk about this one? I don't know exactly. I've got some ideas, but we had a meeting a week ago, but. Were you at that meeting, Yannis?
There are no pressing issues we need to, hey Matthew, that we need to get for 1.1, for 1.3.1, as far as I know, so we should be good. But yeah, and if until the end of the week nothing really important comes up, I think we're good for 1.3.1.
Oh, I think we were discussing in the meeting, I don't know if you were there, that the one thing we'll try and get done is the redo of the docs, because we never got the docs out for the new features of notebooks. I think that was the main thing. Right? I don't know. That's what we talked about in this.
Right. Right.
Sure.
I think we're thinking more in terms of manifest, right? In terms of code that needs to go in. But yeah, we definitely need to work on our docs throughout the release.
Since we won't be changing any code, I think it's fine to put that as an action for 1.3. I don't know. It seems like a good target point, right? Anyway, makes us do things. Update docs for 1.3 in notebook IDs. Okay, AutoML.
Yeah, so we just decided on the manifest meeting today that we are not going to release new features for this patch release. So I think we will create the new images with the bug fixes for the 1.3.1. That's all. But I will comment on the issue to track it.
Do you have an issue for your AutoML 1.3.1?
No, issue like the central issue that you linked before, I believe.
Oh, the manifest one. Yeah,
this one.
Yeah, so
I guess,
maybe it's not clear. This is the general tracking issue similar to the one we had for 1.3.0.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let me just make that under that section. Okay, cool. Actually, I'll put it at the top here.
Yeah, just call it release tracking 1.3.1 release tracking issue or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, now that's good. That makes sense. Yeah, so I guess that requirements thing would be a feature in some sense. Okay, so that's fine. So is any other working groups that I've forgotten to mention? I don't think so. Cool. Okay, now
I think training, but from the training.
Training.
Yeah. From training side, I think we're not like planning to make a new release, right? For this patch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Perfect. Okay, so is anyone else I've forgotten? No. Okay. If not, speaker forever hold your peace. But okay, so 1.4, I think obviously the community last week discussed that we would like to have a release team rather than a release manager. Just not because of specific people or anything, just because time zones are an absolute nightmare. and having people awake at all times is not possible. And we were having people like Janice have to wake up at 3 a.m. every single day or something. So yeah. So
yeah,
I've
I
got some
think that kind
questions
of comes with the job, I guess.
So watch out. But yes, I've got some questions I think that the community wanted to answer from last week. Was that how many members will we even have in this release team? What would their responsibilities be? And I personally I added this one, but what sort of diversity across companies and stuff should there be? Should there be a requirement for that? And also then the last one is just a call for nominations from people. I guess you can nominate yourself and things like that, but I guess what from this side we should probably, we don't really have a process to pick, and that's kind of what I was wanting to discuss right now is how are we going to pick? Because if we have, let's say we set out a Kubeflow discuss thing, saying please nominate people for the release management position. I don't know how we would pick, so I guess that's what I'm trying to ask here is how do you guys want to pick?
This is Yuan. I wonder, do we have actual volunteers who want to be part of release team?
Oh, I'm sure that we will receive nominate. Like, let's assume that we do for now.
Because I want to avoid like developing a process when like there's no such need. So I would prefer like we first find someone who wants to volunteer, help the release management, and then figure out the process.
I think the danger with doing that is I'm not saying that that isn't a valid concern, it is, but I think if we're not even in the stage where we can get a release manager, the project is near dead in terms of community. I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to find a bunch of people who are active in the community who would love to be involved, probably more than can reasonably do it. So that's kind of the, and especially if the roles are well defined. There's the problem with last time was that only one person was there, so they had to do this absolutely insane task all by themselves, and I'm very thankful to Janice for doing this. But I think that we would love to not kill people with work. So I think people would be more willing to do the work, I'd say, if there was a more divided section of work.
Yeah, I wonder, I kind of like Yun's proposal there a bit, only because historically, we've kind of allowed kind of the people that were willing to step up to take on the task to kind of to do that. And I think it's to your point, Matthew, it is kind of a daunting task, right? You probably don't know what you're getting into. Look at Giannis now, you know, he's got dark shadows underneath his eyes, but you get what you put in. I mean, this is what Google kind of set up the environment to be, which was, you know, the people that contribute do get things in return. So I think it's a two-edged sword, and people close enough to understand what the requirements are. I kind of like this idea of, you know, let's kind of use what's been working.
Cool. So then let's just straight up ask for nominations on the mailing list. Of course, with no restrictions, that means anyone could theoretically be nominated.
So for previous releases, usually there was some senior person who stepped up. Like usually Jeremy would do all the first releases. So Jeremy was like one of the founders and leader of Kubeflow for a long time. And then Jeff stepped up from then AWS, now I think it's ByteDance, I'm not sure if that's correct, who also had a lot of experience across the board. And then I did, I'm still doing actually the 1.3 release. And yeah, it's a lot of stuff across the board. So I think anyone who does that should be someone that has a long history with the project and contributions across the board.
Of course, I think these are obvious requirements.
At this point, I'd like to make a shameless plug of myself, and since we're at it, I'd like to mention that I would be really interested in helping with this release process, and I would really like to get involved. I've been really involved with notebooks and with some other working groups, so I would really like to help with this effort for 1.4.
Sure.
I never mentioned it, but Kimunas is helping me write the release stuff right now. Some of the stuff that I'm going to show on next Tuesday.
Cool. So what we'll do, and then just in the interest of making sure that people who aren't here get the opportunity to raise their hand as well, let's send out a mailing list thing and for the next week or two, advertise that it's there and that the nominations are open. And then maybe in 2 weeks' time, we decide the release team based off, I guess, community consensus. If so, people put their hat in the name in that hat and people vote on that, maybe. I don't know what that process would look like, but I think the first process is getting a list of people who are actually interested in doing it, because right now we're speculating based off who's in the meeting. And I'm not saying that Canals wouldn't be a great lead.
So that the team has some geo representation across the globe, like.
Yeah, definitely. That would be an absolute requirement for the main reason of the time zones we're talking about, right? We can't have everyone in European Central Time. We do need someone in another time zone, whether that's American time zones or other ones. Cool. So I'll put that as an action to, I'll send out a thing on the mailing list, and I'll put it on as a recurring comment for the next week or two on the meeting. And then, because again, we're not releasing 1.4 tomorrow. So this is not something we need to plan right now, but it's something that we need to have a release team so that they can then establish a release date. They can then establish whipping everyone into shape to actually get something out the door. So obviously,
Right.
but the goal is we shouldn't plan until that team exists, because that's that team's responsibility, not our responsibility. You know, it may be the same people in this room, no question, but that's not to say that. Anyway, is everyone comfortable with that idea, Jan, as well? You just mentioned as well before. So just ask for nominations straight away.
Sounds good to me. If
Cool,
there are
awesome.
more volunteers, we can think about that.
Cool. Thanks, Jan. I mean, do you want to volunteer? I mean, I'm just putting on the spot, but I'm joking.
No,
Okay.
I will focus more on Kubeflow pipelines for the moment.
Cool. Okay, awesome. So other than that, there's only a few small items left and we can give everyone time back. Does anyone from Google have access to the YouTube channel so that the Kubeflow YouTube channel?
Okay, so yeah, I'll think with Dia about this. I think she has access, but yeah.
Cool. I'll DM you and ask you about that.
Okay.
Because then I'd love to start uploading these videos there rather than of these meetings there rather than to the random YouTube channel we have. Oh, did my sharing stop? No. Okay.
No, looks good.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So I'll DM you about that. Okay, on Slack, I imagine. Okay, so and then the calendar refactor is something that we're just kind of tracking. If anyone wants to propose a solution, because there's no good solution yet, which is the calendars are a mess. It's not clear exactly how you subscribe to them. I think the solution that I was proposing was that we add something to kubeflow.org, maybe under about or something like that, with a list of all the calendars from all the community groups. And that's just the place that we tell people to go to, with the exception maybe of the main community invite, which lives on the discuss board. But the problem is that a bunch of people have said they really like the fact that all the invites are in the same place on the discussion board. So I don't know, we're in this, including Thea. So yeah,
this is what I brought up this last week. I saw the emails, but I never did respond. But it seems like every working group is supposed, and SIG supposed to have their own calendar. That was the direction set forth, and that's kind of what's being maintained.
Yep, makes sense. But with the one exception that there isn't really a link to go centrally to get them for new members of the community. With one, they do exist on the community repo, kind of.
Right.
But like this repo has them, I think. Like notebooks.
We just needed.
Yeah.
We just need to document that on the documentation site or the community page.
Yeah, I'd say. So we're still in the process of redoing a lot of the Kubeflow docs, but yeah, I think we should definitely, as part of that, I think the solution is primarily linking there.
Right.
Does anyone disagree strongly with that as the solution? I guess not. If not, write it in that issue, please, because that issue has been going on for a while. Not this one. This issue here, comment on it. It's linked here in the docs if you want to go to it. It's been open since February. Okay, cool. And the last one is, I think someone was, I forget who specifically raised this. Jackson,
yeah, I added. So that's from the actual question from the working group training side. So recently we got 2 proposals to add different frameworks to the community. One is the paddle, and I think the contributor is also here. And the other one is the DGL. That's also a community training framework on graph. So I'd like to know currently what's the process to approve a new repo. So the background is like working group training has some discussion on this based on our traditional fashion. For different frameworks, we create a new repo called like some paddle operator, similar like TensorFlow operator or PyTorch operator, etc. Currently, seems there's some like Yuan said there's some internal process need to be involved, and we're trying to understand currently what's the process and how's the efforts there, and because that gives us more information to help evaluate if we should accept a new proposal as a new repo or some like a subfolder of a repo from working group lead's perspective. I like to discuss this with the community, and I think Joe, you can share some insights of your contributions later.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jiaxing. This is T. Hi, this is T from the Paddle community. And we've just recently posted our paddle operators and we want to migrate it into the Kubeflow community. Let me say some reasons. Some of our end users are right now using paddle operators for the paddle training stuff, and they are also using the Kubeflow for building their machine deep learning or machine learning machine learning platform. And we'd really like to have the straightforward user experience for those end users, and we want to cooperate with the Kubeflow community to build up a stronger paddle operators. And let me introduce Paddle first. Paddle, we are really focusing on the Chinese users, and for our current status, we have like more than 15 K like stars for our main repo, and more than like 50 K star for our ecosystem like project stars. And as we can see that we are like almost the biggest or the second biggest open source community in China, and we really have lots of like impact for the deep learning users in China, and we hope we can have a win-win strategy with the Kubeflow community. And we really think that by leveraging Kubeflow in the deep learning platforms for those internet companies or like the financial companies, and Kubeflow will be widely used in China, and will be widely used for the paddle end users. That's what we think we can have a win-win solution with the Kubeflow community, and we really want to integrate or migrate our paddle operator or even more paddle related like a cloud native project into the Kubeflow community, and this is the reason we want to do that. And we really hope that we can have our pad operator as the first project to donate to the Kubeflow project, and we'll be cooperate with the Kubeflow community for, on other projects later on, and have more impact for the Chinese users. Yes.
So there's two different things I'm hearing there. One of which you're asking to donate paddle to Kubeflow, in which case I have no idea what the process for that is.
No. The paddle operator, the Kubernetes CRD operator, which is used for our distributed training on Kubernetes.
But
yes.
that sounds to me just like the prerogative of the working group for training, right? If they want to add a training operator and they're willing to maintain it, that's the training group, right?
That's true. Yeah. I think the reason we proposed the question here is that involves some repo management, because the working group list doesn't have the permission to create a new repo, and we're trying to understand what's the current process to approve a new repo from working group from working group perspective. So yeah, what should we do? Because if we think we probably have more like restrict rules to approve a repo from our side, we will probably make different like decisions. For example, probably combine different operators together and create a monolith like repo. So this part we are not sure, so that's why we asked this question in the community meeting.
Well, this is Jan or whoever else has admin on the Kubeflow org's decision, really, at the moment.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I think the community site GitHub repo talks about if you want to create a new working group, then there's a process for that. So isn't that really what you want to do? You want to create a new working group?
No, so this particular case is they already have many repos within the training working group. They're just wanting to make a new one so that they can add a new feature, because that's how they have decided to structure their code, which is one repo per operator. They just want to add a new operator.
So this is Yuan, and I think creating I haven't done the process for creating a new repo yet, so I don't exactly know the process to do that.
But it's not a new repo.
I'm sorry.
No, it's just a new repo. It's just a new repo in this. I think Jeff, you're getting a little bit confused about. They're not asking to donate paddle. They're asking to just add a feature to what is effectively the training working group.
So
to support paddle.
Can't they just add a new folder to the training working group repo?
The problem is that they use different, the issue is that I've seen this as well, is that they don't have one repo with all their operators. They have multiple repos, one for each operator. And I don't know if it's worth changing that to support when we could just make a new repo.
We got to get Google's input on that, because it seems like that's not the direction they want it to go. But
right. Yeah, so I think in parallel, we have a different proposal to have I think, monolithic repo, but that needs some careful discussion, because we are not very sure for new frameworks if that repo can be compatible with the distributed strategy, and if not, that makes the code really unstable and kind of hard to maintain. So that, I think the proposal will come next working group AutoML and training meeting. And from the design to the implementation, it takes some time. So during this period of time, we like to know if we want to block the new request or not, because those proposals are linked in the notes. Actually, I think the proposal comes from 2 months ago. It's been a while, so we probably need to make some decision. Yeah.
So Jan, I guess if you're willing to make that repo, then let's just get that done and give that to them. Otherwise, it's just going to be a lot of work for them, it sounds like, right?
I think I want to propose a different approach because Notebooks working group also wants its own repo, per my understanding. I think if you get a new repo, you could set up your own issue board and also have root owner permission for that repo. So what if we try like the setting up a new repo process with Notebooks working group, and then we can report like how much like extra effort it is, and use that as information for training working group.
I think the complexity of the notebook one will be significantly higher, just from my seeing of it, because the notebook one will involve migrating massive amounts of code that already exists, whereas the training operator one is a brand new code base.
I think the move is a very simple operation. It's just a move in GitHub.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying is difficult. I'm saying like, I just don't, literally all this working group needs is just someone to make them a repo and give them access to it. I don't think that's a very difficult thing. If there's some policy why we can't do that, then that's fine. But I don't believe there is. And therefore anyone who has admin should be able to do that for the community if the working group has decided that they need a new repo, that is.
So the problem is that when creating a repo, we also have to go through Google's internal release process, and that's the problem here. It could be more effort than you. Yes.
Oh, what does that mean in this case? What do you mean by that?
It means some Google open source kind of office will review the project aligns with like Google's goals, and then approve.
Yeah, I think if Google internally have this process, it totally makes sense. Could you, in that issue link, could you give more like info? For example, how long will it take, and what, for example, like information should be provided to Google for review? So that helps working groups understand the efforts to open a new repo, because not just Paddle, we also have the DGLs in the queue. So we probably need more discussion internally, I mean the working group internally, to come up the best option for this new request.
That makes sense. So I'll try to get some information about how that process is like, and I'll reply to the issue. So which issue should I reply to about this?
The one Matthew shows is fine. The Paddle one, yeah.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
that's the first one I linked. That's number one.
Yeah.
And then number two is something else. Oh, that's the second one. So as I said,
may I have a question about the difficulty of having Paddle operator inside GitHub repository? Because have you explored a submodule in the Git feature to link to another repository inside a repository? So if you search like GitHub submodule, then basically in one of the repository, you can have a folder. And that folder, once you click on that, you can actually open another GitHub repository. So in that case, it allows you to synchronize multiple repository into one repository.
Right, but that way doesn't.
Just to explore that.
Yeah, it syncs the codes, but that's not a good way to organize the code because of the like different frameworks complexity. So if we plan to do like monolithic way, we have a better design to probably rewrite all those operators in one, and people can register the frameworks in runtime. So that's something we properly to move forward. That's a different option. Yeah.
I see. Oh, thank you for explaining.
Well, obviously that's the decision of the working group as well, right?
Yeah,
this is purely a logistics issue where we just where a working group is asking for a repo, not for a new project, just for a new repo.
Yep.
So Jan, just to be clear, is the problem still there if they just need a new repo, not if they need a new, what is that noise? Sorry. Is the problem still there, Jan, if they don't actually need a new project, but a new repo because their project requires multiple repos?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Each repo requires some process.
Okay, cool. So that's perfect. And that's a good action there. I'll put that as an action, which is action. Jan will get info about what is needed to make new Kubeflow repo and post in issue. Cool. Perfect. Is there anything else? So I think we've kind of, I don't think there's anything more we need to discuss. If they don't want to bring up anything further before we close out. Okay, just last reminders for everyone. So the retrospective is next week. If you can come, please do. If you can't, we'll try and organize a Kubeflow Discuss mailing list where you can make your comments about 1.3. I will put out a request for nominations, either self-nominations or other nominations in the Kubeflow Discuss mailing list. And we'll try and get a list of people who are willing or interested in being part of the release team. And then once we've got that list, we'll work out what to do with it. And that's
Matthew, would it
about
just
all
help to have a Google Docs to capture any retrospective related information?
Absolutely. I'm sure that the retrospective runner, whoever runs it, will probably make a collaborative place in some way. Is that correct, Yanis? Perfect. Well,
can you repeat?
I'm just saying, I imagine you're going to make a collaborative environment for people to write their comments, because yelling at each other in a Zoom call may not be the most best.
Like a Google Docs, Yanis.
You mean for the retrospective, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, Google Docs sounds like a good idea.
Perfect.
Probably
Awesome.
will do that.
You guys can, if you have an idea, by the way, was it Melanie speaking?
Yes.
If you have an idea, perfect. Just message it to Yanis. I'm sure they'll do it, because it's, yeah, we haven't done one before, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, if
Perfect,
you have
guys.
ideas.
Okay.
So I guess like him or something. Thanks, guys. I'm going to end the recording.